All right. Good morning, all, and welcome. We'll see if people drift up from the coffee yet. But again, for our summer Bible class series, we're going to be looking at some of the Sunday school stories that are familiar but not in the lectionary, so we don't really hear about them necessarily much once we get out of Sunday school. And so dig in and see how there's a little more important than we might first think. And today we are talking about Balaam and his donkey, which again everyone knows it's a great cute Sunday school story because it's a prophet and a donkey that talks. So but there's a lot more going on than that. So. All right, and so who is Balaam? And we'll understand more as we go through this. He's called a seer of the gods, so he's kind of a prophet, but it seems to be a prophet for hire. And so Balak, king of Moab, hires him to curse the Israelites as they're getting ready to enter into the promised land, as they're getting ready to conquer the Moabites. And we find most of what we get in the story of Balaam is Numbers 22 through 24, but then he's mentioned as a warning in many other places throughout the Bible, which kind of makes it, again, a little more important than we might think at first glance. So could someone read this first bit for us of Numbers 22?
Then the people of Israel set out and camped in the plains of Moab beyond the Jordan at Jericho. And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was in great dread of the people, because they were many. Moab was overcome with fear of the people of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will now lick up all that is around us, as the ox licks up the grass of the field." So Balak, the son of Zippor, who was king of Moab at that time, sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the people of Ammon, who call him, saying, "Behold, a people has come out of Egypt. They cover the face of the earth, and they are dwelling opposite me. Come now, curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them from the land. For I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed."
All right. So again, and this is a later map, but it was the best I could find. So Moab is here. So on the other side of the Dead Sea and the Jordan from what become, of Israel. But the people of Israel are kind of walking up this way to get to the promised land. And they've conquered the Amorites, and now they're getting to the Moabites and the Midianites, and they're all starting to get worried because this great big group of people's coming, and they're not sure how to handle it. And actually, though, that reminds me, too, one of the unique things about these sections, most of the time we're getting things from the view of God or from the people of Israel. And for these 3 chapters, we're getting things from the view of the Moabites and Balaam, from these people who are going to get conquered by the Israelites. And so it's kind of a interesting juxtaposition and change there, too. All right, any other questions or thoughts on that introduction?
They've been in the wilderness for 40 years, and yet they remember, or they know they came from Egypt.
Right. Yep. The Moabites are still describing them as the people that came from Egypt. Yep. So that's still apparently a big part of their identity and what the people know about them. All right, can we keep going? So why does Balaam refuse to go with the Moabite emissaries? Yeah, God told him not to. So it starts off good for Balaam. These people come and say, look, we're going to pay you for you to curse the Israelites, because we know there's too many of them. We can't handle them just the way they are. But if you curse them first, maybe we can beat them. And Balaam consults with God. God says, no, you can't curse these people because I've blessed them. And so Balaam says, nope, all right, I can't do this. So again, starts off pretty good for Balaam, but we'll see. Doesn't end well for him. All right, so again, Balak, of course, being a king, doesn't like to be told no. So this is what they do next. Could someone read this, please? Yeah. All right. So Balak, king of Moab, sees the group of Israelites. They've conquered the Amorites, and so the Moabites and Midianites are afraid. Balak, king of Moab, says, I got a great idea. I know this prophet, the seer of the gods. I'm going to go send some emissaries to him, have him curse these people, and then we might be able to defeat them, because we know we can't the way things are. First time they got sent there, Balaam consults with God. God says, no, these people I've blessed, you can't curse them. So Balaam sends them away. Balak and Balaam, Balak's the king of the Moabites, Balaam's the prophet. Balak says, or Balak maybe, says, okay, he's not used to being told no, so he sends more and better emissaries with promises of more and better payment. And Balaam consults with God, and why does Balaam change his mind and decide to go with these people this time? What? God says go. Okay, yes, again, Balaam's starting out good. He listened to God when he said don't go, and now God's saying go, so Balaam's listening. Okay. Anything else? Mm-hmm.
Why would he even listen to them at all? Because they were, he's the same God that the Israelites have.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and so it seems strange, but again, he seems to be a kind of prophet who can consult with anyone. He also needs to eat. And as we'll see, his greed sometimes seems to get the best of him. And so again, since he's promised, he's got better emissaries come with more promises of more wealth. Balaam kind of agrees to go along with them this time. Yep. And so again, Balaam, again, he talked with God first. God said, no, you can't curse them. So don't go with them. But then Balaam checks again, and this time God says, go, but only do what I tell you to. Why does Balaam make that consultation, even if he already knew what God's answer was? Does God change his mind? So no, God doesn't necessarily change his mind. Circumstances have changed a bit, and so he's saying, okay, you can go with them and see. But as we'll see, we can kind of a argument over whether God tells Balaam to go for a good reason or for kind of a, okay, you want to go anyway, I'm just going to let you go in your sin instead of keep holding you back. All right. So, again, God told Balaam to go this time, right? So let's look at verse 22 here. What's going on? God's anger was kindled because Balaam went, and the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as his adversary. Now, Balaam was riding on the donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. And the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the road and went into the field. And Balaam struck the donkey to turn her into the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between the vineyards with the wall on either side. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pushed against the wall and pressed Balaam's foot against the wall. So he struck her again. Then the angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn, either to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times?" And Balaam said to the donkey, "Because you have made a fool of me. I wish I had a sword in my hand, for then I would kill you." And the donkey said to Balaam, Am I not your donkey, on which you have ridden all your life long to this day? Is it my habit to treat you this way? And he said, "No." Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword on his hand. And he bowed down and fell on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to oppose you, because your way is perverse before me. And the donkey saw me and turned aside before me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, surely just now I would have killed you and let her live." Then Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned, for I did not know that you stood in the road against me. Now, therefore, if it is evil in your sight, I will turn back." The angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but speak only the word that I tell you." So Balaam went on with the princes of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam had come, he went out to meet him at the city of Moab, on the border formed by the Arnon at the extremity of the border. And Balak said to Balaam, "Did I not send to you to call to you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to honor you?" And Balaam said, "Behold, I have come to you. Have I now any power of my own to speak anything? The word that God puts in my mouth, that must I speak." Then they went and came to Kiriath-Huzoth, and Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep and sent for Balaam and the princes that were with him. And he took him up and looked with Bamoth-Baal, and from there he saw a fraction of the people, so only saw a small group of the Israelites. All right. So where do we see Balaam's folly and foolishness in this passage? Right. Yeah. He's frustrated and angry at the donkey, even though the donkey is trying to protect him, and the donkey hasn't. Apparently, at least the donkey claims to have not ever acted like this before. Which I guess, how reliable is the donkey? I'm assuming if God is making the donkey talk, we can probably trust that. But yeah, and so he's supposed to. God's reminding him again, no, you can only speak the words that I give to you. Don't try and weasel your way out of this. You can only speak what I tell you. All right, anything else? Yeah.
So, did I miss something? Didn't God tell Balaam to go?
Yes.
Okay, so is this just another snake 30 days?
I think so. I mean, God seems to be, his anger's kindled at Balaam, and so it seems to be at least partly a, God didn't want Balaam to go at first, but then once better emissaries with more money come, then he wants to go and checks again, and God gives him leave to go. But again, a reminder that this is, you're getting paid to curse them. You are not going to be able to do that. You need to be able to speak the words that I give you. You'll only be able to do that. Yeah, and then kind of as a reminder, yes, the angel of the Lord will strike you down if you try and say something different. So. All right, and then we get, so that's the story everyone, we talk about. But then Balaam gives 4 different oracles that the king of Moab walks along with Balaam, and they kind of get up on different hillsides looking out over the people of Israel who are gathered together and camping out. And Balaam gives these oracles that, again, Balak, the king of the Moabites, wants them to be cursed. And as we'll see, Balaam doesn't do what he's asked here. All right, so this is Balaam's first oracle. Can someone read this for us?
Balaam took up his discourse and said, From Aram Balak has brought me the king of Moab from the eastern mountains. Come, curse Jacob for me, and come, denounce Israel. How can I curse whom God is not cursed? How can I denounce whom the Lord is not denounced? Far from the top of the crags I see him. From the hills I behold him. Behold, the people dwelling alone, and not counting itself among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright, and let my end be like his. And Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I put you to curse my enemies, and behold, you have done nothing but bless them. And he answered and said, Must I not take care to speak what the Lord puts in my mouth?
All right. So why can't Balaam do what he's paid to do, to curse Israel? God told him not to. Right. He's at least he's only able to speak the words that God has given to him to speak. So. All right. Any other thoughts, questions there? All right, and then we get into the second oracle.
Is this,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mark.
is this that Balaam has made the choice of a go with God, or is it really that's all he can see?
That's a good, I mean, because, yeah,
Because my here says he put a word in his mouth.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the oracles, at least, that Balaam gives, they seem to be, Balaam seems to only be able to bless them and not curse them. He only is able to speak blessings over the people of Israel, not curse them, no matter how much Balak wants him to do that. We'll see he's able to cause trouble and get around, prophetic blessing he can't, prophetic curses he can't utter, but he's got other ways to help the Moabites later, we find out. But at least for giving these blessings, instead of curses, he seems to not be able to, control what, or he can only bless. He can't curse. That God's only giving him these words of blessing. But and we see that too, that put a word in his mouth. We see when Isaiah is called, he gets the coal from the altar in the temple and it's put in his mouth. Jeremiah eats a scroll when he's called. There's the words put in his mouth. So that idea seems to be present with other people too. But All right, here's the second oracle. Can someone read this for us?
And the Lord sent Balaam unto a word to Saul, and said, Return to Balak, thus shall you speak. And he came to him, and behold, he was standing beside his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab with him. And Balak said to him, What has the Lord spoken? And Balaam took up his voice and said, Rise, Balak, and hear. Give ear to me, O son of Zippor. God is not man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not fulfill it? Behold, I received a command from God. He has blessed, and I cannot revoke it. He has not beheld misfortune in Jacob, nor has he seen trouble. The Lord their God is with them, and the shout of the king is among them. God brings them out of Egypt, and is for them like the horn of a wild ox. For there is no enchantment against Jacob, no divination against Israel. Now it shall be said of Jacob and Israel, What has God wrought? Behold, a people as a lion that rises up, and as a lion that lifts itself. It does not lie down until it has devoured the prey, and drunk the blood of the slain. And Balak said to Balaam, Do not curse them at all, and do not bless them at all. But Balaam answered Balak, Did I not tell you all that the Lord says I must do?
All right, so what's the second message God gives Balaam for Balak and the Moabites? Yeah, confirmed you can't go against God. Not going to do it. Can't do it. So, because who's behind what the Israelites are doing? God. Are they able to do? Are the Israelites doing this on their own? Nope. They can't do it on their own. They're not doing it on their own. It's all God working through them, so that everyone will go, yeah, look what has God wrought. Look what God has done. That there's no way this band of refugees from Egypt could have done all that they'd done. All right. Any other thoughts, questions, comments there? All right. And then we get to the third oracle. So again, they keep moving around looking for different high places where Balak can offer the sacrifices and things, and try and get Balaam to curse them, and they look out a different part of the Israelite encampment again. And now they get to the third oracle. But now we see him changing things a little bit. All right, could someone read this for us?
Balaam saw that the praise the Lord to bless Israel. He did not go as other times to look for omens. He set his face towards the wilderness. Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel enter tribe by tribe. And the Spirit of God came upon him. Through him he shut the up his discourses. Oracle of Balaam the son of Beor, oracle of man whose eye is open. Oracle of him who hears the words of God, who sees the vision of the Almighty, falling down with his eyes on the ground. I love the ugly dances that came from the encampments of Israel. Like palm groves that stretch afar, like gardens beside the river, like alleys that the Lord is planting, like cedar trees beside the water. Water shall flow from his bucket, and his seed shall be in many waters. His king shall be higher than Adam, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brings him out of Egypt, put him like the wings of the wild ox. He shall lead up the nations, his adversaries, shall break their bones in pieces. Fierce and true with the arrows. Crouch and lay down like a lion that you will rouse him up. Blessed are those who bless you. Cursed are those who curse you.
All right. So again, we're kind of going back now. This time, Balaam doesn't seem to go and ask. He instead just kind of waits, and the Spirit of God comes upon him as he speaks. And then we get the same blessing. It kind of echoes that blessing that God gave Abraham back in Genesis 12. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. That this is, God made his promise back then, and he's still keeping his promise here in Numbers, hundreds of years later. All right, what else is different about this third oracle of Balaam? The Spirit, it talks about this. This isn't just the word of God, the word that God gave him to speak. This is the Spirit of the Lord is on him to speak this. So in some ways echoes of Pentecost. And we see this some other places in the Old Testament too. But that Balaam is only speaking what God will let him speak as he's doing these prophetic utterances, doing these oracles. And again, as much as he's getting paid and supposed to curse them, he can't do it. So, which of course makes the king more and more frustrated too, because kings like it when they tell people to do things and it doesn't happen. So, all right, and fourth and final one, and this one there's a part of it that you might find familiar, even if you don't realize that you find it familiar yet. All right, so this is the fourth and final one. They're up and looking out over the whole encampment, not just bits and pieces of it, and this is the final oracle that he offers. Could someone read this for us? All right. So, what part of that final oracle did you maybe heard before? What? Foretelling of Jesus. Yep. So it's Mendelssohn, not the Messiah, but close enough. There shall a star come forth from Jacob. But yeah, and so again, we get in the midst of all this other stuff, we get this foretelling of Jesus, who, not now, not near, but there shall come forth and do this. So again, their star shall come forth out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Looking ahead to the coming of Jesus, and of course, mentioning the star makes us think of the wise men too, and their travels, how they followed the star. All right, and then we get again what the idea of blessing those who bless you and cursing those who curse you. So now, not only is Balaam blessing the Israelites, but he's cursing the Moabites, the Edomites, and some of the other ites, the Amalekites, and some of those other ites that are going to get in the way, that are going to try and fight Israel, but not going to succeed. All right. So that's where we get Balaam in action. But now there's a few things here where we get descriptions of what he does afterwards and why he's, despite being someone, I mean, if you just read that, it seems like he does what God tells him to do. He speaks these words that God tells him to speak. He blesses the Israelites. He doesn't curse them. He curses these other people. But he seems to make some wrong choices afterwards that Balak seems to be able to go, okay, okay, you're a prophet. You can't. Your blessings and cursings aren't working. What else can you do for me? And this is where we get some problems. And so again, a few chapters later, then we get some battle scenes, and this is what happens to Balaam. Could someone read this? Actually, I'll read it because there's some funny names in here. And Moses sent them to the war, 1,000 from each tribe, together with Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, with the vessels of the sanctuary and the trumpets for alarm in his hand. They warred against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses, and killed every male. They killed the kings of Midian along with the rest of their slain, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. And they also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, with the sword. And Moses was angry, because they kill all the men, they're supposed to kill other people too, and they don't. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands, commanders of hundreds who had come from service in the war. Moses said to them, "Have you let all the women live? Behold, these, on Balaam's advice, caused the people of Israel to act treacherously against the Lord in the incident of Peor, and so the plague came among the congregation of the Lord." All right. So, what happened? Balaam seems to have been at the heart of this idolatry that brought on the plague of Israel, that despite being paid, he's paid by Balak, king of Moab, to curse them. He can't prophetically curse them, but he knows they have other weaknesses. So desperately wanted the treasures Balak had offered him if he could get God to curse Israel. And so when he can't convince God to do so, Balaam advises Balak to send his young women to seduce the Israelite men to adultery and idolatry, thus stirring God's wrath against themselves. So, any thoughts, questions, comments there? So he can't get God to curse them directly, but, well, wait a minute. If the people who've made this covenant with God, if they're unfaithful to God, then God will strike them down. So if we send all these pretty Moabite women and Midianite women into the camp and get them to get the Israelite men to, or at least enough of them, to commit adultery, and then not only physical adultery, but also idolatry, which is also convinces adultery. Sure, worship God, but let's come worship Baal and the others too. And then God sends a plague on them. Phinehas, the priest, is the zealous one who starts stabbing people. And so he's the one who leads the expedition against them later.
So Balaam was killed.
Balaam's killed here, yep.
The donkey lived.
Oh, that's a good question. The donkey doesn't appear anymore, so I don't know. I'd hope so, but all right. So then this is what happens, and it gets retold and reminded that why Balaam is a warning then throughout the rest of the Bible. Again, despite having given these prophetic words that were good, his actions later prove that he's bad, and so that he's used as a warning then throughout the rest of the Bible. And so again, in Deuteronomy, as Moses is giving his farewell sermon to the people of Israel before they enter the promised land, reminding them of all that they'd been through, what had happened, this is what he says. He says then, "No Ammonite or Moabite may enter the assembly of the Lord. Even to the 10th generation, none of them may enter the assembly of the Lord forever. Because they did not meet you with bread and with water on the way when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam, son of Beor, from Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse you. But the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam. Instead, the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loved you. You shall not seek their peace or their prosperity all of their days, all of your days forever." All right, so why are the Moabites and Ammonites forbidden to enter into the assembly of the Lord? They wanted the Israelites cursed. They could have helped the Israelites. They didn't. They could have, joined with them, and they didn't. They instead tried to curse and lead the Israelites astray, so none of them can come into play. Well, of course, where do we see a Moabite become a part of God's people, and what happens there? Ruth, right. But what's different about what Ruth does compared to what these other Moabite women were doing here? What does Ruth say when she goes back with her? Your God will be my God, your people my people. Right. She's renounced the other gods, and instead is turning to God, and so that's the difference. All right, and then in Nehemiah. When they're rediscovering the scrolls, as they're rebuilding the temple after the exile and trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again, then they read it on that day. They read from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people, and it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever enter the assembly of God, for they did not meet the people of Israel with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. Yet our God turned the curse into a blessing. And so why include this reminder as Nehemiah's giving, as they're working to rebuild the temple, restore Israel after the exile?
Did it have something to do with don't mingle with other people?
Right. Yeah. That at least part of why they'd gone into exile in the first place is because they'd intermingled with the surrounding peoples and then taken their gods too. And so from there, then because they weren't being faithful to God, they weren't keeping the covenant, then God took them into exile, now brought them back. But there's still this intermingling happening. And so they're reminded now that, okay, this can't happen. That if you're intermingling and they're bringing their gods into you, that caused all this problem in the first place, so don't do that. All right. And then Micah 6, in one of these reproaches, reminder, speaking of what the people have done. O my people, and this is God talking through Micah. O my people, what have I done to you? How have I wearied you? Answer me. I brought you up from the land of Egypt, redeemed you from the house of slavery, and I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember what Balak, king of Moab, devised, and what Balaam, the son of Beor, answered him, and what happened from Shittim to Gilgal, that you may know the righteous acts of the Lord. So remember that when they tried to curse you. Yeah, so why does Micah include Balaam in this reproach against the people of Israel? Yeah. Yeah. Reminder, don't do that. Yes. Yeah, you learn from the past. Learn from the keep telling these stories and reminding you so you know not to do that. Right. Good. History always repeats itself, yes. All right, and then even in 2 Peter, think this kind of slightly obscure story in the Old Testament would make it to the New Testament, but it makes it twice. 2 Peter here. Could someone read this one for us?
Forsaking the right way, they have gone astray. They have followed the way of Balaam, son of Beor, whose love gained them from wrongdoing, but was rebuked for his own transgression. A speechless donkey spoke with human voice and restrained the prophet's madness.
All right. So why does Peter remind his readers here of Balaam?
Well, I think he was supposed to follow God and
Right.
he did not.
Yep.
He wanted that money.
Yep.
And that's what Peter was trying to tell these people, don't sin like he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That human nature part hasn't changed, even 1,000 years and a few hundred miles from where Balaam was to where Peter's writing to people. All right, and then in Revelation 2, and the angel to the church in Pergamon writes, the words of him who have the sharp two-edged sword, I know where you dwell, where Satan's throne is, yet you hold fast to my name, and you did not deny my faith, even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was killed among you, where Satan dwells. But I have a few things against you. You have some there who hold to the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel, so that they might eat food sacrificed to idols and practice sexual immorality. So he's used, again, as a warning here that, they live, Pergamon's called where Satan's throne is. I think it's closed for remodeling now. If you ever make it to Berlin, on the Museum Island, they've got three things there, one of which is the Pergamon altar. They, the Germans, not quite like the English, but, they went to Pergamon in modern-day Turkey and took this whole giant temple thing and moved it to their museum. It's really impressive, but, the fact that there was this big altar there is why it's called referred to as Satan's throne. But again, there seem to be people there who are trying to do food sacrifice to idols. We know that was an issue in Corinth too. And then again, once you start practicing sexual immorality, then it's easier to fall away from God too. So, all right, and then one other thing. Balaam's mentioned outside the Bible too. This Dar Allah inscription, Balaam inscription, discovered during a 1967 excavation in Jordan. It revealed a many-chambered structure that had been destroyed by an earthquake, but was probably built during the Persian period. On the wall was written a story relating visions of the seer of the gods, Balaam, son of Beor, who may be the same one mentioned in the Bible. So he seems to have been at least famous enough in the region that his name was written down. Again, reflects the oldest example of story from a biblical book written in a West Semitic alphabetic script, considered one of the oldest pieces of West Semitic literature transmitted in a still debated Semitic language. So, yeah, dated to 840 to 760, written in ink on a plastered wall, and they found, it's after an earthquake, so bits of the plaster had fallen off, but it had remained enclosed, so they were able to try and take the pieces of plaster and recreate it. So, all right. Final thoughts, questions, comments? All right. Well, thank you very much. I forget, what are you doing next week, Mark?
Next week is, perfect for me,
Oh, yeah?
because I'm left-handed.
Oh, yes, right, yes. The Ehud, the left-handed judge. Yes, so. What? What? Isn't it Ehud or no? Yeah, Ehud, yeah. Yep. All right. Yes. All right, well, very good. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next week.